Welcome to the MindGem Podcast, where we dive deep into the future of work, explore the secrets of workplace well-being, and uncover the magic of personal branding and development. Our mission is to help you discover your inner gem so you can shine brightly and make a positive impact in your life and career. I'm your host, Ratna, and today we have a remarkable guest joining us. Aseem Puri is the CEO at Unilever International. He comes with 12 years of rich brand leadership experience across India, China, and Southeast Asia, with a track record of doubling and tripling brands and delivering the top 2 category innovations in the last decade on sales and profitability. Having been with Unilever since 2003, Aseem has held several senior roles before taking on the role of CEO. If anyone has some secrets to share, it's this man. Please join me in welcoming the one and only Aseem Puri.
Welcome, Aseem, to the MindGem Podcast. Thank you so much for, making time to be here, and I'm really excited to have you here.
Fantastic. Great to be here. Thank you, Ratna, and great to talk to you. I'm sure it's going to be very stimulating.
We'll be covering a lot of ground today, especially we would like to leverage on your amazing experience on leadership as well as well-being. And we will cover quite a bit on personal branding, as of course, especially on the topic of productivity, which is the topic that you are really passionate about. So before that, I wanted to ask you this question. As a CEO of Unilever, right, do you get a free ice cream for life?
Wonderful question. Well, not for life, but like I say to all the visitors in our office, and you are welcome, so are your listeners. Yes, we have free ice cream. We have free Ben & Jerry's, Magnum, all the brands that you love. So yes, I can definitely get you a lot of free ice cream for sure.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Yeah. Aseem, share with us a little bit more about your career journey. Because you spent like almost 20 years in Unilever, right? Covering different areas of roles as well. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. So look, I'm in my current role, I'm the CEO of Unilever International, which is our global white space division, where our focus is on serving underserved markets, underserved channels, underserved consumers. So it's a global business, although it's headquartered in Singapore. So very often I'll be traveling. So I say while I live in Singapore, many times I'm more on Singapore Airlines than in Singapore. So it's a job which takes you around the world to many interesting markets, Mongolia, the Pacific Islands, Nigeria, Ghana, Morocco, the US, and so many other places. So we are really blessed to have the opportunity to serve consumers and customers globally. And in this role, I do general management, leadership, strategy, and I have a full team of functional heads reporting into me. Prior to this, I've had a long career as a marketer. So my core passion, functional area or area of expertise is really building brands. So I've worked on personal care, on beauty, on home care across Asia, China, India. And prior to that, I started my career in sales in India. My pet passions are really to write, to speak, to teach, which is something I do on my LinkedIn blog. As we know, we are connected. Yeah. And now recently came out with the book on 10x Productive, which also we'll talk about. And apart from this, in my school days, my dream was to go to the army. That didn't happen because I have an injury in one eye. So the army said, you're very intelligent, but you're not passing the physical test. So then I decided to get onto a career in professional management, did my MBA, joined Unilever in India. And since then, I've done about 10 roles in different countries, different categories. Been a very exciting journey. So every single day, somewhere in the world, there is an opportunity which we are here to tackle. So it's a wonderful role, really keeps you stimulated and excited all the time.
That's so amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, we are so privileged to have you here, knowing that you travel so much and you really make time for this conversation. Share with us a little bit more about what is the most exciting leadership experience that you have experienced across 20 over years in Unilever.
Wow. Okay, that's a big question. But I think for me, the ability to take a team and really get them to do more than what they think they can is, I think, always an amazing experience. When you start the journey We think of a big goal as a leader. In fact, we are going to have our annual conference next month. And I was just thinking about, what goals to set. And again, I was inspired by the same title of 10x to ask the question, why go 2x when you can go 10x? And we've had many such episodes, but I'll maybe talk about one. When COVID happened, very early on, we got a request from the government to support in hygiene products in the market. But the request was, in just a few weeks, they wanted millions and millions of pieces of sanitizers and other products to be available to consumers so that people felt secure. It was really impossible to do, but we brought the team together into a room and some people virtually, and said, look, here's the challenge. We have to produce millions of sanitizers. We have only few days to do so. These need to come by air, which normally is impossible because it's a dangerous good. It's got alcohol in it. So every single step is impossible. But dependent on this are many, many people and the government and many institutions. So what can we do? And amazingly, when you throw a big challenge to the team, leave them alone on how to do it, people figure out creative solutions. And in 2 weeks, we had done the production. The government was very happy. We managed to support the community. That was one great example. In this role itself, we are managing countries that other people run away from, right? So countries where you would normally not travel, not go, countries that have conflicts and challenges. Our teams step in there and say, let's serve every single consumer around the world. So we've built very strong businesses in markets like Libya, markets like Yemen. Unilever almost exited the business in South Korea, but we've taken that over and revived it. In many parts of Africa where it's very challenging to do business, the teams really step up and lead. I think my big learning there is throw a big challenge, give people space and empowerment, appreciate when they do good stuff. When they don't do good stuff or when things don't go their way, try to listen and support. 8 out of 10 times, people will surprise you. We also have a lot of cases where people say, okay, I'm in finance, I'm in supply chain, I'm in marketing. I think I've done my piece here. I'd like to try something different. Usually in most companies, nobody will take a risk. Nobody will move a senior level person from one function to the other. So one interesting case is we had a lawyer in our team. And we have only 1 or 2 lawyers, right? So it's a small team. And the guy said, look, I'm bored of doing all this contract stuff that you keep asking me to do. I think I'm very creative. Why don't you let me develop a business? So I said, look, I don't know whether you can do a business. I'm willing to try. But you also have to come up with the idea for your business. Yep. So he was Australian Chinese. He said, look, there is a lot of demand for Australian products in China. It is sold via cross-border e-commerce, something I had never heard of. I will do this whole thing. Leave me alone. I'll make it happen. He set it up. Today, it's a flourishing business for us.
Wow, that is so inspiring. Tell us a little bit more about trust. I mean, really empowering the team to be able to do 10x or even more, right? At the same time as well, having this trust is something that is very intangible. How can you empower your team and also trusting them to be able to carry on this big vision, mission that you have?
So I think it is, you need to do some practical things if you want to achieve this. It's not about blind trust, right? It's not about blind trust because as a leader, you are responsible for delivering results.
Yeah.
You can't afford to empower and delegate and then suddenly, things didn't happen or results were not met. So how do you balance this? I think the first step is really clarity of goals. You as a leader and your team or the individuals need to explicitly agree what are the goals. In most companies, if in the middle of the year, you were to go and ask everybody, write down your goals on a piece of paper and compare everything on a board, many people either will not have very sharp goals or their goals may not match. Over time, they tend to forget. Things are not reinforced. So one, clarity of goals, and usually goals should be 2 or 3, not 10 or 20. Many companies are in the habit of 10 targets, 20 targets, OKRs, many long list. I think it needs to be narrow, 2 or 3. That's step 1. Step 2 is what I call accountability mechanism, which means I trust you, but let's have a way of checking in whether you're on track or off track. You can have a 30-minute weekly call. You can have a monthly review. You can have an email update, whatever be the mechanism, but at a fixed frequency, we are going to review whether against that goal, are you headed in the right direction or not. I think the third one is really what I call vitamin A, where A stands for appreciation. that the most powerful force that can accelerate somebody to do something better and perform better is not criticism or feedback, it's appreciation. So when you have these three: clarity of goals, mechanism of accountability, and consistent reinforcement of good work done, you will find for most people, they will be on track, they will accelerate, they'll deliver the goals, or they'll come very close. Another last part of the equation is that yes, you may find 10, 15, 20% of the team is not performing. They're not stepping up. They're not that engaged. Then the golden rule is your best people, you need to talk to them once a month. Your average people, you need to talk to them every week. And your weak performers, you need to talk to them every day. Because when you do that, you will learn one of two things. Either they are struggling because they're making an effort, but they don't have the skill or the knowledge or the network. So you help them. Or they're not making the effort. In which case, you need to have a serious conversation on whether they want to do that role or do something else or whatever. So I think it's about a system. Like one of my ex-bosses said very nicely, eyes on, hands off. So you need to watch, but you need to not do. But you cannot abdicate and say, I don't know, as a leader. So I think trust comes from having a system. But without this, you can't get the best out of people. If you try to micromanage, I think you lose your best people.
Oh, that is very insightful. Tell us a little bit more about your leadership philosophy. I read in your book, 10x Productive, there is this so-called ABC of leadership, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so as you would have seen, I like acronyms. So I will use one of them to explain my philosophy. So it's called ACE, ACE, how to ace any job. I think A stands for ambition. Which means that as a leader, you're looking for people who think bold, think big, dream big. They think 10x, they think 5x, they think why not.
Yeah.
So you're always setting big, bold, disruptive goals, because the only way to move organization forward is always to ask the question, what is possible? What else can we do? So for example, we have a very successful business doing well, touch wood. But recently we were talking to one of India's quick commerce companies. These companies now are promising 10-minute delivery. If I place an order for a coffee right now, in 10 minutes it's going to be here.
Wow.
And how they are doing it is by creating dark warehouses and infrastructure across a very difficult market like India from a logistics standpoint. So suddenly the thought in my head was, oh, why are we happy with 30 days, 60 days shipment to my distributor in the US? If these guys can do in 10 minutes, should I not be targeting 7 days or 1 day? And when I posed that question, suddenly everybody's mind is jolted and said, okay, how can we make it happen, right? So ambition is the first pillar of leadership that I deeply believe, that you need to think big, think bold, and dream. So when you think bold, things start to move. I think second is C for compassion. That when we work with each other, listening, understanding, respecting different point of view is the secret sauce of collaboration. So we work in a multicultural environment. In our team, there are people who talk non-stop. Okay? They just talk. They don't listen. And there are other people who don't open their mouth at all. There are people who are very bold. There are people who are very shy. There are cultures in which you can say yes or no. Like if you're European or if you're in Western Europe, it's usually common to say yes or no to a proposal. It's usually clear, approved or rejected. But when you're in Asia, somebody makes a proposal, they've done a lot of work in a meeting, nobody's going to reject you. They may not like it, but they will give you some polite feedback, which actually means they don't like it, but they will not be clear. Now, how do you make these three cultures talk to each other? We do a lot of coaching. We do a lot of cultural integration workshops. We do a lot of team connects. Even as we speak, my entire marketing team is in Thailand, working during the day, partying at night, bonding with each other, trying to break barriers and misunderstandings. And one powerful thing we learned post-COVID was we thought we can work virtually. We thought we can use Zoom and Teams to do many things. But actually, the biggest issues and opportunities are solved face-to-face. So for us, it's very important that our teams connect. So building compassion. And the third, what I really value, execution. People who are into the details. People who know how to get things done. So when I ask somebody a question, and they delegate it to somebody else, that's the type of person I know is not into execution versus the people who know their details. So these are three aspects to me of strong leadership: having ambition, building a culture of compassion where people collaborate with each other, and third, being into the details so that you really know how to drive things. Like they say, a leader knows the way, a leader shows the way, and a leader goes the way. So it's not okay if you as a leader give instructions. Like we say in Unilever International, you have to get in the mud. If your feet and hands are not dirty, then you are not doing your job. So very often I don't tell this to people, but I like to notice how worn out are the shoes that you wear. How much do you walk in the market? So if everything is very clean and cut and dry, you haven't really experienced the real world.
Nice. Ace, ambitions, compassion,
and execution.
Talking about ambitions, right? Not everyone have a big audience goal and all that, right? And I think sometimes it's also a bit hard to kind of also maybe teach people how to have a big ambitions. Just curious to hear from you, how do you maybe identify leaders who have these big audacious ambitions that can really make things happen and get things done and all that?
Yeah, so I think maybe another way to think about it is, yes, everybody may not be excited about a number or about a target or may not have a business ambition. But if you ask anyone, what's your dream? What would you love to achieve? What would you love to do? What would you love to learn? What would you love to experience? Usually most of us should have something, right? So at work, usually I value those people who are impatient, they are curious, they come up. In our business, you need to be agile because very often you may be managing a market, suddenly there's a crisis, you have to go do something else, right? So it's very important to have people who are curious, who are agile, who are asking the question, why not? Also, second, creating a safe environment where even the most shy person, even the most introverted person can come and express their views. So I'll give you a story. One of my colleagues who is quite introverted, right? His name is Shazan. He leads our beauty business and he has a different style from those who are very loud and very explicit and very overt. But when you probe deeper, you see that actually he also has dreams, ambitions, career aspirations. And when you give it wings, give it space, then he comes and surprises you with his bold ambitions. So right now he's working on a plan on one of our brands, Vaseline. I thought, okay, you're going to go for 20-30% growth. He's come up with a plan of 300% growth, okay, which is not something I asked him to do. But it's more because the environment is everybody can speak, everybody can share. But it takes time. It's not easy. There will always be people who are more reluctant. Yeah. But I must say, everybody inside has some dream, has some aspiration, has some desire. It's about making the connect between what you do every day and what your deepest desire is.
I love that. I think, totally resonate with about safety. I think we are all also very passionate about creating psychological safety in the workplace so that everyone can be themselves and show who they are as a person without scared of being judged. In your point of view, how can we also empower more people or leaders to be able to really step out of their comfort zones and at the same time as a leader to build the culture of psychological safety so that people are safe to express themselves?
So I think it's a very difficult goal because in different cultures there's different levels of openness and psychological safety. Yeah. But some of the things which we have tried which work, one, every single forum that we have anonymous Q&A. We always allow people to anonymously ask questions, right? Because only then do their most difficult, stressful questions come out. Mm-hmm. There are many things they're shy of asking in public. But when it's anonymous, okay, you can voice it. I think that helps a lot because even if it's one person, sometimes what will happen is, we will have a pigeonhole or a Q&A which is anonymous. There'll be some 5-6 good comments, there'll be 5-6 feedback, and there'll be 1 or 2 nasty comments, let's say. Then my colleagues will say, we need to make this personalized, meaning you have to put your name. I said the moment you do that, nobody's going to ask you the difficult questions because you need to create that space. So that's the first goal. Second is, in every single meeting forum, leader speaks last. Leader doesn't speak first. If you as a leader are tempted to give the answer, shut up. Your job is not to give the answer. Your job is to allow everybody to speak. If people are not speaking up, you can do round robin and encourage everybody's view. Or you can use the anonymous polling if you like. Third, leader's job is not to give the answer. Even if you know the answer, it is only to ask questions. So you must get into the habit of asking questions. Like for example, very often it's a funny thing. Somebody will come to me and say, we have these two pack designs. Which one do you like? Actually, they're not asking me for my opinion. What they're asking for is my approval. They just want me to say this one is better. Then they'll go and tell other people the boss approved it, I'm going ahead. But instead my question to them is, what do you think? I said, no, I came to ask you what do you think. I said, but I'm asking you what do you think? And then we'll keep doing this till the other person starts to share, actually I don't like both of them. I said, then why you came? Because somebody else asked me to. I said, which one do you think we should do? Oh, we should do green, not blue. Do you have a green option? I don't have, I will make it. I said, okay, make it. One of the last thing on psychological safety, which is very important, which we keep practicing, but is never enough, is to actively solicit dissent. Meaning you actively ask provocative questions like, what do you not like? What is not working? Where are we failing? Who are the terrible leaders? What is your worst experience? You ask those questions which will invite dissent and differences. When do you not feel engaged? Etc. So you write these questions and you ask them in the meetings, ask them in the forums. So they're all different tools for allowing people to speak up. And the single number one measure of whether you have psychological safety in the workplace is, for me, how much conflict is there in the workspace? How much disagreement is there in the workspace? How many times do you as a leader get to hear, I don't agree, or I'm not going to do it, or it's not right? And lastly, in different cultures, it's also important to notice body language. Many times people will say no with their body. They will say no with their face. They will not say no with the words. So I have learned, for example, my wife is Thai. Okay, she's extremely polite. And she will never to my face say, no, I don't agree with you. But so in the beginning, when she would say, okay, I would assume okay means okay, go ahead. But I would realize later, okay doesn't mean okay. Now I notice the subtle feedback when I say, hey, should we do this? Should we go for a holiday here or do this? And then immediately it will not have a, let's say, clear, loud response. It will be a very shy and polite okay or just a nod of a head. To me, I know that means a no. You know, so I think, but it's difficult. You also have to learn to suppress your ego, because very often the temptation is, I'm the boss. I know the answer. Why don't you know it? Let's save time. Let me just tell you what to do. So eventually the choice is, do you want to build the capability of the team, or do you just want to get the work done? If you want to get the work done, you can direct people. They will do it. But if you really want to build their capability, then you have to step back and give them breathing space. They feel more empowered. They also get exposed to some difficult questions. So I think these are some practices we have to do, but it's not easy.
With regards to creating a psychologically safe culture in the organization, it helps people to feel well, to feel a lot more at ease coming to work and expressing themselves as well. We always believe about well-being and creating that kind of culture so that people are excited coming to work. What are some strategies that you basically do to implement this well-being in your organization?
Sure. So I think we do a lot of understanding of the team on the topic of well-being, and we had a lot of issues because we are a global business. People used to say, hey, there is no time when it's switched off, it's always on, etc. etc. So what are the actions we took? So I think first is to diagnose the problem. Really go deep and ask people the question of, how do you spend your day? Which parts do you like? Which parts do you not like? When are you frustrated and why? And we found from there, for example, we have many people who do global jobs. They work across time zones. So very often they have to do very early morning or very late night, which means time away from family, not very good health balance, etc. So we created a global collaboration day. We said 1 day a week is the global collaboration day. If you work between Americas and Asia, that's the only day when you have to either wake up early or do late night. We'll also swap during the week. So 1 week you wake up early, 1 week the other guy does it.
Yeah.
So by doing that, 80% of your work time, you're working normal hours. Only 20% of your week is affected. So that automatically brought down that risk. Second, I think there was a tendency among some people to carry work home, carry work on weekends. So we make strict rules, no WhatsApp on weekends, no phone calls, no team meetings, etc. That over 6 months, I think, started to implement. People have good weekends. That's the second thing. Third thing we started experimenting with now is something called Focus Friday. So we made an internal rule last year. No internal meetings are allowed on Friday. So people said, how will I do my work? I said, I don't care. Figure it out. But Friday is for meeting customers. Friday is for meeting consumers or doing your deep work. In 6 months, amazing, people's calendars on Friday became empty. They start going to market. They do deep work. They do analysis. And everybody looks forward to Friday when I can really do my work. Now we challenged the team and said, hey, can we experiment with 4.5 day work week? And 2 of our teams successfully took that challenge and said, yes, we will optimize our work, we will cut our meetings, and they started implementing. So I think the number one thing on work-life balance is giving people back time. And that's when I discovered, that actually nearly 50% of work time is spent either in meetings that you don't find useful, or in doing emails, or getting interrupted by other people.
Yeah.
And that's when the inspiration for writing the 10x Productive book came, saying, how can we build some good practices at work which help us to reduce this unproductive time and spend time on things that do matter. So saving time is one big thing. Second, I think, like I said, team connections and celebrations, we do a lot. We're always looking for an excuse to do celebration. So we are going to do a big team lunch next week because we are hitting a big milestone in terms of our turnover. We find birthdays or team celebrations or any launch event. Every day you can find some excuse to connect, bond, have lunch, etc. So I think one hand, save time. The other hand, create engagement through bonding and connection. And coming to office, I'm a firm believer in hybrid workplace. That's our policy officially. 3 days working in the office, 2 days remotely, a little bit flexible depending on the location. In the beginning, a lot of our HR teams were struggling, saying, oh, people are not coming to office that much. How are we going to make it happen? Then we found the miracle solution. The miracle solution that works in every country in the world is free food. Okay, when we organize lunch, everybody comes. Okay, so therefore, once or twice in a month, we'll find a reason to celebrate or do a training session, capability building with a nice lunch. So I think that's a very easy, low cost, high engagement solution that every team can implement. I can tell you, if you want to double engagement productivity in any team that has lunch together every week with good food, of course, being the caveat, is going to be 2x more productive than any other team for sure.
That is lovely. I remember one of my engagement with one of your brand as well, Unilever brand Clear. So they had this team bonding event and they invited me to share a keynote speaking after the event itself. And wow, the energy was like to the roof, right?
Yes,
Everyone
yes.
really loves it, and the bonding and all that, it was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, so wow, the initiative was really fantastic. I love your Focus Friday. I think more companies should really implement that kind of initiatives to be able to.
We then realized that Monday to Thursday, still a problem. What is the problem? Too many meetings, right? So we came up with this term called the meeting monster. Meeting monster refers to those people who love to have meetings.
Yep.
Many times without an agenda. Many times they invite 50 people, of which 48 will not speak. And therefore they waste everybody's time.
Yep.
So we started saying, okay, who's the meeting monster in your life? Of course, people are shy. They will not take names. But then slowly over time, they start saying, okay, this meeting is not very productive because I think I attend, but I don't speak. Or this meeting is happening too often. Or this meeting is too long, for example. So as we did that analysis, we managed to reduce already 20-25% significantly, both the frequency and the time duration.
Yeah.
We had a review where people were used to making 100 slides. And then we made a rule saying the rule for new meetings is 5 slides. If you have 6, we will not have the meeting. So one person complained to me, boss, but you're taking away all the joy of making slides. I said, hey, what is the joy in making slides? And who wants to see all the slides? The key information is what you need to present, right? So you have 1 instead of 50. So person's not happy. But the next month they made 1 instead of 50. I said, how do you feel? She said, actually, I managed to land all my points. You understood what I had to say. I saved 2 days of work. I said, what did you do with those 2 days? She said, I went home early, had dinner with my husband outside, which was very nice. I managed to work on a strategic presentation that was pending for a while. And I went to the market, which I haven't been for a while. So I think reducing meetings is another big agenda. It's 50% of your work hours, which means half of the salary that you pay every employee is going and doing meetings. So therefore, it's a critical agenda to solve. Another big one is emails.
Yep.
Within emails, you find that actually a lot of time is wasted when you typically have
CC.
what I call email warfare. Person A writes to email with 10 people copied. Person 2 wants to reply, they add another 10 people. And then the armies keep collected on both sides. Okay, golden rule, if you have any email conflict, phone call. Pick up the phone and talk to the person.
It's a lot
It's
faster.
very easy to write something nasty on email.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to say it on the phone.
Yeah.
It's impossible to do it face to face. So therefore, much easier, golden rule, 1 phone call saves 10 emails or maybe more. If you have a conflict, my simple 2 words always are, let's talk. Pick up the phone and talk. Okay, tell me what's the problem. What is the issue? We just had one case today afternoon, very interesting, where 2 very senior people in the organization have been doing email warfare for 4 weeks. The emails keep getting more intense, more weapons being loaded on both sides till it reaches nuclear level.
Wow.
So I said, okay, why not both of you talk? I'm going to be the referee in the conversation. And it's not even like some video call, it's just a WhatsApp call. We spoke for 20 minutes, resolved the issue. What was happening is, email is not a good means for solving complex issues.
Yeah.
You can't explain everything to each other.
Exactly.
You have to talk to each other.
It creates a lot of miscommunication.
Yes. So I think these are some of the ways to improve work-life balance. The biggest of which is, how can you give back time to people at work? So my fantasy or dream is, can we reach 4-day work week, right? And can we still deliver strong performance while doing that? A lot of people say no. I think definitely yes. Question of when, not if.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that you have a lot of all these well-being initiatives are really, being driven by the leader like yourself, right? And I think a lot of companies didn't realize this as well, and they too caught up in that cycle of too many meetings, too many emails, and all that kind of stuff. Would love to hear from you. How can we empower more leaders to be able to have that kind of like initiatives to roll out so that employees can buy back their time, they can feel more productive, and they feel a lot happier at work?
Well, I think everybody in life has different motivations. So for me, my motivation is my team should be happy. People should be engaged. They should be motivated. They should feel good about coming to work. And then eventually results will follow. So if that's your motivation, simple action, like I said, magic bullet, organize a nice lunch. Is not complicated or difficult. Find a reason to do so. In that lunch, connect with a few people that you haven't spoken to, see how they're doing, what's working, what's not working. At the end of the lunch, ask yourself as a leader, the amount of money that was spent, was it good? Was it worth it? How are people feeling? Do you want to do it again? If on the other hand, you're very business focused, very clear on KPIs and metrics and ROI, then I say to you very simply, you pay somebody $100,000 as a salary, $8,000 a month. Of that, $50,000 are going to do meetings. $25,000 are going to do emails. Only the person is working for $25,000, which is 1/4 of the time. Meaning out of every 4 people in your organization, only 1 person is working. The other 3 people are doing meetings and emails. Do you want all 4 people to work? If the answer is yes, organize a workshop where you say very simple, like I do a very simple exercise for anybody. Take a flip chart or a board, draw a line in the center. Left side, right plus, right side, right minus. Left side, list down all the things you like doing at work, activities, things where you learn, things where you make a difference, things that contribute to the organization. Right side, write everything else. When you do that, you find, oh, wow, this person is having to spend so many hours making this presentation or doing this analysis or struggling with this data tool or spending time in their commute. For example, in the Philippines, my team says it takes me 2 hours one way to get to work.
Yeah.
In Jakarta, people wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning
Yes.
to get to work to avoid the traffic.
Yeah.
So when you learn that, then what is the answer? The answer is, while in Singapore 3 days in office is okay, in Manila I'm okay even if you come once or twice, because I know you're going to spend 4 hours of your day on the road. It's just not worth it, right? Similarly, the Global Collaboration Day. Similarly, we said, why is it that everybody sends meeting invites with 60 minutes? There is no word written in the Bible that every meeting has to be 60 minutes. It can be 30, it can be 15, right?
Yeah.
Let's experiment. So these are some of the things that we do, that leaders can do. And I think it's about asking yourself a simple question. Do you want your team to be happier? Do you want better results for your company? I think everybody will say yes.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody's going to say no to that. Everybody's going to say, I want that.
Yeah.
And the actions you have to take are usually the simple ones, the easy ones. It's not the complicated ones. And usually when a business is not working or a business is working, it's people who are behind it, right? If you motivate your people well, results will follow.
I love that. Yeah, I always believe that take care of the people
Yes.
and they will take care of you and your business,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. Interesting conversation. Let's chat a little bit more about personal branding and your experience in building brands for
Sure.
Unilever as well.
Sure.
In your point of view of building brands, 1 to 2 branding or marketing strategies that really help you to double or even triple the brands? Like what kind of innovations that you have done, like samples of campaign that you have run that really blow up or you turn around the business?
Yeah, so I think, look, marketing is on one hand simple and on the other hand very complex.
Yeah.
It's simple because it's about serving consumers and delighting them. And it's complex because today you are browsing 100 different media, including social and digital. You are shopping in 50 different platforms, including e-commerce, social commerce, quick commerce, offline, convenience store, etc. And these linkages are not obvious anymore. There used to be a time when you run a TV ad, you distribute in the supermarket, life is good. Now the world has changed. So in this environment, I think the first golden principle on marketing, which always remains, is deep consumer connect. If you want to understand, if you want to do good marketing, you need to know your consumer very well, which means usually interview 5 to 10 of them, ask deep questions, spend a day with them, go shopping with them, go to their homes and see how they live.
Wow.
So we do a lot of that. So I think all our marketers are encouraged to do a lot of consumer work to get insights from the market. So for example, we have a soap brand called Pears, which is a glycerine-based moisturizing soap. And we started doing consumer work on it globally. And we found suddenly on TikTok, there was a big trend called Pears Brow, which is Pears eyebrow. We were like, what is that? And basically what had happened is there are many influencers who discovered it's a very good moisturizing product. They used to buy the soap, cut it into small pieces, microwave it, take the liquid glycerin out and apply it on the eyebrows with the eyebrow pencil, etc. to give it very good structure and firmness.
Serious?
So we said, wow, what is that? Right? So once we discovered that, then we made a Pears eyebrow kit. We started communicating with these influencers. Trends gone viral, brands doing really well, as an example. Similarly, we had in Southeast Asia, there was a project to launch liquid detergent and consumers were using powders at that time. And then we launched, it failed. After a year, launched, failed. Third time, it was my turn. I became the brand manager and we said, okay, it's not working. How are we going to crack it? And all the studies showed that actually on paper, liquids are great, they're sustainable, they smell good. It should work, but it's failing. And then we started doing consumer work to find out what's happening. We place the products. We watch how they observe, how they clean their clothes. And for 3-4 months, can't figure anything out. Everything seems okay, but it's not working in the market. Till one day, I was in a home in Thailand at that time. And this lady has a bucket where she does her hand washing. And then I gave her the liquid. And then she took the liquid and she immediately screamed something in Thai. And I asked the translator, what did she say? She's saying, the translator said, she's saying it's gone. I said, what do you mean it's gone? Ask her again. it's gone. I said, okay. Then we tried probing more. And then the lady basically said, I put it in the bucket. Now I can't see it. It's gone. I said, okay.
Clothes?
No, the liquid detergent is gone. I can't see it. I said, okay, now what do you normally do? She said, look, she took another bucket, she took the powder and she poured it and said, look, I can see it. It's going down slowly, it's dissolving, etc. I said, now what are you going to do? See, because it's not dissolving, I'm going to put my hand inside and I'm going to shake the water and that creates the foam. Oh, see, it cleans. But in the liquid case, it's gone. I don't know what to do. There's no foam, useless product, out. Then we realized we had created too good a product. It was dissolving too fast. Therefore, they were not shaking the water. Therefore, there was no foam. Foam equals cleaning in Asia. Therefore, they were not using the product. So then we said, okay, let's make it difficult to dissolve. Instead of transparent, let's give it a dark color so they can see it. Then we made a prototype and gave it to her, which was not dissolving. She said, yes, I can see it. Then she started shaking. A lot of lather. I love it. Very good. Very nice. And now it's a big success. So you will find many such insights when you talk to consumers in their homes, in the market. I was in Africa last year and I wanted to understand in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Morocco, in Ethiopia, consumers, what do they think of other countries, right? So we said, we'll play a word game. I will give you the name of the country. You tell me what you think. So I said, America, rich. UK, royalty. Dubai, gold. India. Guess what they said? I thought they will say Hollywood or something, or Bollywood or something. But they all said hair. I said, what do you mean hair? Indian hair. I said, what do you mean Indian hair? I want Indian hair, like the girl in the Bollywood music. And then she opened her phone, this Nigerian girl, and said, look, she's dancing in the rain and she's got long hair till her knees and I love it. I said, oh, okay. And then went to Morocco and said, India, hair. Ethiopia, India, hair. We are one of the biggest hair care companies in the world, right? Along with L'Oreal, we're global market leader. We have iconic brands like Sunsilk and Clear and Dove and Tresemme. But this insight that Indian hair is deeply aspirational as Africa, I don't think any of us knew. Once we learned that, we said, okay, let's develop something. So this is examples I'm giving you of marketing foundation is always about consumer stories, consumer connection, talking to people, right? That's at the heart of, so if you're not talking to consumers, you can't do any marketing. If you're only looking at a screen and trying to do things with your screen, you don't get the real insights. So that's one. I think second is, it's a channel driven world. You want to build a brand, you got to pick a channel. In that channel, you got to be strong. You don't want to play everywhere, but where you play, you want to be strong. So for example, in Korea, we said, look, we are up against big, giant Korean companies. We are a smaller player. We want to really focus. Where are we going to focus? We said, okay, the one place where we can drive conversion, performance marketing is e-commerce. Within e-commerce, there is a leading retailer in Korea called Coupang. So we did a workshop with them. We said, look, we want to be strategic partners, work together. We launched a lot of portfolio with you in partnership and collaboration. Can we jointly invest and grow within this platform? It's been 1 year. We've grown many times. It's become a global success story. But the moment my team gets tempted and say, oh, it's working here now, let me go everywhere, it will start to fail. Why? Because today's consumer, they are looking for brands that they can talk about on social media. They're looking for things they can show to other people and say, I have it and you don't. So when it's available everywhere, it's not aspirational and desirable. When it's available in one place and I have it and you don't have it, it's something worth talking about. So every brand needs to select the channel where it wants to play, channel where it wants to dominate. Even for your personal brand, no matter what topic you stand for, like if for me, it's about driving productivity and purpose in organizations. So consumer insight, pillar number 1, channel selection, pillar number 2. I think third, today, e-commerce and retailer media is become super important. So another way, if you're a small player, if you're a startup brand, if you're a new player, is to be very focused on e-commerce performance media, not invest in money anywhere else, and really drive conversion on platform. So I think these are some tactics and strategies that one can use. And then finally, the biggest opportunities come when we take a brand or a category or a product and look around it, look in its adjacencies. So for example, Vaseline is a brand which is really old. iconic heritage, beautiful brand that delivers moisturization around the world. We started doing some social listening work. And what we discovered is Vaseline is a multi-purpose product. People use it for moisturizing many, many different parts of their body and skin. What was the number one body part they were using Vaseline on? Any guesses?
Face.
On their lips.
Oh.
And at that time, we didn't realize, but actually the number one usage of Vaseline in many parts of the world was for lips. But we didn't have a Vaseline lip product. We didn't have a lip balm. We didn't have a lip product. We said, okay, my God, consumers want to use it on this. Actually, it's difficult to use it from the jar and it doesn't have fragrance, doesn't have color, etc., etc. Not perfectly designed for lips. Let's develop a range. We developed it in Korea. Today, we are market leader in 8 countries. We are present in over 50 markets, doing really well. So when you do search and social listening or direct consumer connect, you will typically find lots and lots of opportunity for the same product or brand, but maybe in a different format, maybe in a different size. And finally, lastly, I believe strongly that every brand needs to own a word. Own a word. Own a proposition, something that they're focused on. So for me right now, the big theme of this year for me is about being 10x productive. So I like to do many things, but I have to constantly tell myself no. Be focused, right? Don't get distracted. Similarly, Vaseline is about moisturization, Dove is about care, Axe is about perfume, Rexona is about freshness. So own a word, own a channel, keep talking to consumers, and experiment with e-commerce lower funnel. I think these would be some of the tips and tricks I would say, or some of the things that are probably going to help most brands.
Wow, that's very insightful, Aseem. I'm just, hearing what's your insights about, building brands, right? Especially products, consumer brands as well. How can we also apply this into our personal brand as a leader, right? Why is it important to actually build a personal brand, especially in this time of age?
Sure. So I think many practical reasons. I think one is simply from your career standpoint today.
Yeah.
If you want to move ahead in your career, you want to get more job offers, or you want to build connections with other companies, or even grow in your own organization, you need to stand for things that are relevant and important for others, right? So that's one. Second is, if you have a desire to contribute to others, then no better way than in today's world to have your own mouthpiece, your own loudspeaker, your own way of communicating your message. Now, the important thing here is you can't do it if you don't believe in it. You can't do it if it's not coming from the heart.
Yeah.
You can't do it if you're not passionate about it. Because you are in a sea of people who are very passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
So if you are in a sea of people who are doing things because they believe in it, unless you deeply believe in what you stand for, you're not going to be able to communicate. So I would say the first step to building your personal brand is again to own your keyword. Define your purpose. What's your why? What do you stand for? What's most important for you? So for me, my purpose is to serve and inspire others, and therefore everything I do will be around that. Once you have that, then again select the relevant channel. And I must say, the one thing I've discovered, there are many creative people in the world. There are many hardworking people in the world. There are many people who will invest a lot of money in buying media or having expensive personal social media brand consultant or whatever. But all this can be beaten by the person who is consistent. Power of consistency is more powerful than power of creativity. It's about consistently communicating your proposition, your idea, your thoughts, your concepts in whatever channel you have chosen. So if you're going to do it twice, thrice a week or once a week or whatever you're going to do, the consistency over a period of time will build your equity. People start looking for you for that topic. They start inviting you, like you have invited me in this session, to start talking about it because I'm consistent on the topic that I speak about.
Yeah.
So know your purpose, know your channel, start the journey of consistency. It's not about perfection. It's not about necessarily creativity only. Consistency is most powerful. And of course, giving is the model by which you build community and following. So you give information, you give knowledge, you give talks, you do workshops, etc. without expecting anything in return. And sooner or later, the world, in the universe of karma, something good will come your way. You know, that's how it works.
Yes.
So I think, but everything starts with, why do you want to do it in the first place? And if that's not strong, then after a few weeks, few months, you will give up. You will stop it, or you will get distracted. So identifying your purpose is the number one bedrock of building your personal brand. Just like in consumer marketing, the bedrock is talking to consumers.
Wow, that was super insightful. I totally resonate with whatever you shared about building your personal brand, because I think that's something that is also I've discovered along my way in terms of building my personal brand as well. Once I get so clear about the purpose, about the bigger why I wanted to put myself out there on whatever I'm building currently, and consistently communicating that to the people who are actually resonate with your values, your vision and mission will actually attracted to what you are trying to champion, right?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
so I think totally aligned with whatever you shared earlier. Thanks so much for sharing that. Yeah, and like we've covered really quite a lot of stuff, from your leadership experience to career to building brand and personal brand plus well-being as well. Let's talk a little bit more on the productivity piece, right? On the
Sure.
well-being piece.
Sure.
Just curious, could you share with us like a couple of tips and strategies, right, to actually help people to be a lot more productive at work? I just came back from my silent retreat and I felt like super guilty not being productive at work because the transitions and stuff like that. Please share with us, how can we be more productive at work so that we can achieve more and happier at the same time?
Sure. So look, I think I'll share my experience and what I see working for people. One most important thing is that we are always on a journey of self-discovery, which means that this thing about what's really important for you and what's your purpose and what you want to achieve in life is something that we have to constantly ask ourselves. So one good practice is, I would say, every year in the beginning and maybe every 3 months, have a notepad or a diary or somewhere online where what are my most important goals or my most important targets or the things that are most important to me written down clearly. Now, in most cases, if you ask somebody, okay, what's your relationship goal in your marriage? I think the people will stare at you like, what? What do you mean? To be happy? Fine, but what else? Is it more tangible and more specific than that? Do you guys want to travel together? If so, where? I'll ask people, hey, if tomorrow there's a $10 million in your bank account in the morning and you don't have to work anymore, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to travel. Where? Haven't thought about it. Or somewhere nice. That's not a goal. I think that's typical problem of not being able to articulate and specifically define your goals. And therefore, if you're not clear on your goals, you can't be productive, because what are you working towards, right? What are you trying to achieve? So I think that exercise of goal setting or purpose definition or call it ikigai or whatever it is something very important. And everybody must have something related to work, something related to health, something related to relationships and family, something maybe related to wealth. So you must have concrete specific goals and you must write them down. And when you write them down, reinforce and repeat to them. So that's the first pillar of productivity. The second, I think, is to eliminate distractions in a world that is full of distractions. So how do you do that?
Yeah.
I started first by deleting some apps. Because I realized that when you have app access versus web access, the app is far more tempting to check in 10 times in a day. And every time you're bored, you have 5 minutes on the bus or you have 10 minutes between a meeting, you're going to start doing something.
Yeah.
But the moment I deleted it, I realized, okay, I'm not tempted to go back and re-download from the app store, log in again and check again.
Yeah.
It's got a few steps, right? So I haven't bothered. So I deleted a lot of social media. That saved me a ton of time. Then I realized, TV at home, another distraction. Do you remember the next day what you really saw? Not really. Sometimes I'll make the excuse, it's to watch news.
Yeah.
But I can access news on the phone, and if the world is going to shit or there's another virus coming our way, then I'm sure I'll find out. So therefore, out goes the TV. Saves a ton of time. And actually is very good for my relationship with my wife, because instead of both of us eating together, watching a third screen, We are eating, watching each other and talking to each other. So I think it's very good for personal relationship.
Yeah.
So third, I think, is all notifications on all systems to be turned off. Whether it's your laptop, whether it's your email, whether it's your phone. Why? Because whenever there's a notification, it immediately pings a small amount of dopamine in your brain.
Yeah.
Actually, it feels good. It feels good to open an email. Or it feels like, how can I not check that message?
Yeah.
Right? So therefore, turn off notifications. Then work consciously to ask yourself, my digital screen time is going in doing what? Try to put in 1 hour block a day, which is what I call go airplane mode, where you don't have Wi-Fi access, even though today planes we have Wi-Fi, unfortunately. But okay, go Wi-Fi mode where you don't have distractions. Today, it was very interesting. I had a few things to do, and I told myself that let me see how many minutes I can go without checking my phone or my email while I'm doing my work. Okay. I managed to do 57 minutes, okay? And then I realized in 57 minutes, I had done 4 things that normally would have taken me far longer. So even though I've written a book on 10x Productive, I'm still victim to the same habits like everybody else. I have to constantly practice and improve. So pillar of purpose, number 1. Second, eliminating distractions. Third, a good practice every week on Sunday evening or Monday morning is to clean your diary. Look at your diary and say, what am I going to remove from my diary? What is not important? Which meetings are repetitive? Which ones I don't need to attend? So I have a target personally to delete 25 to 50 meetings a week.
Wow.
So I target to delete 200 meetings a month. And I just finished my exercise for, it's the most delightful exercise. Okay, deleting and rejecting stuff is the most fantastic exercise. Like today is 29th of August, I think. I just did it for September. So I deleted about 80 meetings for September. So you have a clean diary. Then sometimes you'll have a different problem like, oh, what should I do now? Because we are so addicted to doing one thing after the other that space creates opportunity for us to really think. So when you do these 3 things of 1, define your goals. 2, remove distractions. And 3, every week clean up your diary. Basically, you're emptying your cup, as the Buddhist monks say. And in that cup, then you can fill what's really important. So, but you will get sidetracked. You will have holidays. You will have time when you will not be able to practice this perfectly. And that's okay. But as long as we ask ourselves the question, what are my goals? And am I creating time for them? And lastly, one final thing I practice is every day I ask myself one question, what's my meat? Which is most effective action today. So while I may have 100 things to do, what's the one thing that I must do today? And I circle that out in a different color and say, okay, even if I don't do anything else, this one thing I'm going to do. And then at the end of the day, ask yourself, how was your day? Usually you'll be satisfied because you aim for something really important. So I think, but everything goes back to knowing what's important for you. If that's not clear, none of the other tips and tricks and tools are going to work because whatever time you create, you're going to end up spending on something that's not important.
Totally, yeah. Just building on into the second piece, which is removing distractions, right? I mean, I've been practicing this for a few years now. I think maybe I kind of like switch off my WhatsApp notification for like maybe more than 5 years already.
Sure.
But every time I open up the WhatsApp, they always keep this pop up again. Would you like to turn on your notification, right? This is just like, a way for people to get a lot more dose of dopamine in some ways. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's also like in a world of like so many distractions, how can you just be focused on the things that is really moving the needles, right?
Correct.
I think that's
Correct.
super important.
Correct.
And that helps you to move into the
Correct.
goals that you wanted to
Yes.
achieve and whatever it is. Share with us, like, how's your day like, Aseem?
Okay, so my one golden principle which I learned from my grandparents is to rise before the sun. So I always rise before the sun to wake up early. I think that's the best time of the day because
What time do you wake up?
between 5 and 6 typically, which is basically a time when you're by yourself. There are no distractions. So usually my cat will be awake at the same time. So sometimes, okay, the cat will bother me. But otherwise, usually there's nobody else in the world that is awake.
Yeah.
Nobody's calling you. There are no WhatsApps, no emails, nothing. Meditate, right? So try to bring focus for the day. write down most effective action of the day. What's the most important thing that I want to do? Start to work on blog articles or research some of them. So I love to write in the morning because that's the time when the mind is fresh. Work on 1 or 2 big strategic projects. By that time, wife would be awake. So we would typically have breakfast together or coffee together, get to work. Usually at work, I will have 2, 3, 4 meetings in the day. Like I have 1 or 2 after this session as well. But in between, there'll be a lot of blank spaces which I've cleaned up. Those are the moments when I'm available to anybody in the team to have a chat, one-on-one connect, solve a problem, or brainstorm an idea, because many times our best ideas come when we look at each other, right? And then, end the day, typically will 6, 7 will end. But then after that, I may have a few calls with North America, typically. And then in the evening, we might go out, etc., with my family, with my wife, my sisters here in town as well. Of course, I travel a lot. So when I travel, then typically this routine is a bit more difficult to do. Not that easy. So therefore, that's a challenge, how to maintain the discipline while doing travel. But I'm working on that now. And I think writing and then yoga on the weekends is another thing which, of course, my wife dragged me into it literally. Not my cup of tea, but I'm practicing. I'm not that flexible. So usually I just look at other people, what they're doing, and try to copy. But that's typically a day in the life. And I think the best part of the day is obviously time spent by myself, time spent with the wife. And then 1 or 2 key engagements at work where you make a difference, where you move the needle, where we can really inspire others, where you can ask the question, why not? The run-of-the-mill, business as usual is not, I think, stimulating or motivating for me.
Right. One last question. What's the one life-changing habit that really, impacted your life in a big way?
Wow, big question. I think meditation, obviously, makes a big difference because it's very powerful. It brings calmness, brings focus. It brings contentment. And not that I can do it every day, not that I'm able to do it well every day, but every single time when I practice, it really elevates energy level and focus. So I think the 1 minute of a breathing meditation where you simply focus on your breath for a minute in and out is a powerful tool, not just for productivity, but also for people. Sometimes you are having a stressful day. Sometimes you're getting into a meeting where you're anxious. Sometimes somebody said something not so nice to you. Or sometimes you got a nasty email. In all those scenarios, the best way to manage yourself, bring yourself to an even keel and a calm balance, is to practice the 1 minute of breathing meditation, which you can basically do anywhere, on your seat, in the bus, pretty much anywhere. So I think that's very, very powerful. That's something which I believe everybody can do and can be a core skill. I wish it's taught in school, really at a young age, rather than we make a lot of mistakes and then we learn it later.
Exactly. Can I give you a high five?
Yes, of course.
I think meditation has really changed my life in a big way, really. I think a lot of my struggles, challenges when I experienced when I was really young as well. I think these tools of transformation, which is mindfulness, meditation, has really helped me a lot in, managing a lot of all this discomfort feeling, a lot of all this pain as well. And I think, I totally agree with you that more people, of course, kids as well, should really learn it since young as well, because it's such a powerful tools of resilience, of transformations that can really change people's life, right?
Yes, that's why the book 10x Productive, I start with that, create energy, not time.
Yeah.
And the best way to create energy is to start to learn to meditate. And the very simple meditation is just notice your breath coming in, notice your breath going out, keep your focus there for a minute. If you just practice that, you already are going to have a much better day than what you would have had otherwise.
Totally. And I really love your book so much. It's so easy to read. And thank you so much for spending time with us, sharing your wisdom and insights with all of us. I learned so much from this conversation and really grateful for your generosity in sharing.
No, not at all. Thank you for inviting, and it's been a fantastic conversation. Hopefully people pick up some of these good ideas and start to implement, and
For sure.
I wish everybody's 10x productive.
For sure. Aseem, how can we basically find a lot more about you, and how can we get your book as well?
Sure. So
Yeah.
look, you can. My book is on Amazon in Singapore, which you can search 10x Productive. I have a blog, aseempuri.com, and I also am active on LinkedIn, where we are connected. So all three different ways.
Yeah.
You can get a copy of the book or just read the articles if you're interested. And I also conduct a lot of workshops, etc., which are usually the information is on my website.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you so much, Aseem.
Thank you, Ratna. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the MindGem Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please leave us a review, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring conversations. Until next time, keep discovering your inner gem and shining bright.